Good morning, everybody, and welcome to the Zaleski Sports Show. It is a special girls basketball playoff edition here today as girls basketball playoff seeds from all over the state of Wisconsin were made official yesterday. We started getting some of them in on Saturday, and then they continue to trickle in on Sunday. We got the full rundown for you here today, plus 5 area basketball coaches check in, give you their thoughts on their girls basketball team's playoff seeds and playoff possibilities coming up on the Zaleski Sports Show. So let's get right to it, and we'll start in Division 1. And in the DC Everest section, this is section number 1. If you're playing along at home with your brackets in front of you, and you should be, Bayport is the number 1 seed in the DC Everest section. They will first play on Friday, February 28th, and they await the winner of the 16-seed DC Everest and the 17-seed Green Bay East. Eau Claire Memorial is the 8th seed. Number 9 is Chippewa Falls. Those games are also next week, Friday. Spash is the 5 seed. They play number 12, De Pere. Number 4, the Hudson Raiders. They will host the 13-seed Wausau West Warriors. And in the Green Bay Preble section, the 2 seed are the Kimberly Papermakers. They play the 15-seed Eau Claire North. Again, all these games next week, Friday the 28th. Number 7 seed is Appleton West. They play the 10-seed Appleton North. Number 6 seed, the Marshfield Tigers. They will host number 11, the Superior Spartans. And Green Bay Preble is the 3 seed, and they host the 14-seed Wisconsin Rapids Lincoln Red Raiders. Again, we will hear from Steve Maves later in today's show as he gives us a preview of the Wisconsin Rapids high schools. All right, over in Division 4, where we find other local teams, it's an interesting bracket in Division 4. We knew it would be. We previewed it for you last week, Sunday, over at ZaleskiSports.com, and we essentially got them all right. I don't know. It maybe was a little bit easier to figure out, especially through process of elimination. We knew Auburndale would be the 1 seed, and they are. The Auburndale Apaches are the 1 seed. They play Friday, February 28th. Their first game is a regional semifinal. They will play the winner of number 8 Stratford and number 9 Spencer. So you talk about interesting games. Now, that one there is interesting. The 2 schools separated by about 10 miles east and west of each other. And the Rockets and Tigers over in Stratford will play on Tuesday, February 25th. So one of the first games of girls basketball playoffs, one of the most interesting in the area. Again, number 8 Stratford, number 9 Spencer, and then they will play the number 1 seed Auburndale next week on Friday. Also next week, Friday the 28th, it is number 4 seed Colby. They will host Pacelli. Colby, a state tournament team from last year. They are now the 4 seed here in 2020. And in the bottom half of that bracket, the number 2 seed is Marathon, and they will play the winner. Again, this next game is played Tuesday, February 25th. It is the number 7 seed Princeton Green Lake taking on number 10 Montello. And then also on Tuesday, it's number 6 seed Necedah taking on number 11 seed Abbotsford, and they will play number 3 seed Westfield. So all those teams then are going to come to a collision throughout the course of that bracket. Again, area teams featured: Auburndale, Stratford, Spencer, Pacelli, Colby, Abbotsford, Marathon. And there's only going to be one winner coming out of that section. That's why we love the playoffs so much, because it is urgent, and it is pressure, it is stress, it is jam-packed fun, and it is, again, this year in Division 4. In Division 5, we take a look at the Mosinee section, and they will all culminate over in Bowler for the sectional semifinal. Their sectional semifinal is played in Mosinee, and it's Division 5, number 1 seed Newman Catholic. They will await Tuesday's winner between number 8 seed Gresham Community and number 9 seed Allman Bancroft. Number 5 seed Northland Lutheran will host number 12 Rib Lake. And number 4 Prentice will host number 13 seed Port Edwards. Also on Tuesday, February 25th, it is number 2 seed, the Wild Rose Wildcats. We saw Wild Rose beat Pacelli on Friday. Highlights of that over on Facebook at Zaleski Sports Stevens Point. Get caught up on the Wild Rose Wildcats. They are the 2 seed, and they will host number 15 seed Marion. Number 7 seed Assumption will host number 10 Athens. The number 6 seed Rosholt will host number 11 Tigerton. And the number 3 seed, the Edgar Wildcats, will host number 14 seed Tri-County. And that certainly could be a Saturday regional final, Edgar and Wild Rose. And we would certainly look forward to that as Wildcats would match up down in Wild Rose. But that's looking way far ahead. A lot can happen, and a lot almost always does happen between now and then. All right, over in the Colfax section, staying in Division 5, the number 2 seed is Prairie Farm. They will take on number 15 Turtle Lake. The number 7 seed is Flambeau, and they will host number 10 Greenwood. Number 3 is the Loyal Greyhounds. They will host number 14 seed New Auburn, and they will play the winner of the number 6 seed Eau Claire Emmanuel Lutheran and number 11 seed Lake Holcomb. Again, all those games taking place on Tuesday, February 25th, and that is Section 1, Division 5, and it is Section 3 in Division 5, and we'll go through those with you. Number 2 seed is Oliva Strum, and they will await Tuesday's winner, number 7 Columbus Catholic, hosting number 10 Gilmanton. And in the top half of that bracket, number 1 seed is Bangor. Number 4 seed Blair Taylor hosts number 13 seed Pittsville. And the number 3 seed Cashton hosts number 14 seed Granton. Those are the highlights as we look around the area as far as girls basketball teams are concerned. We do have, actually, let's go back to Division 4 here, and where we'll start our coach previews. And in Division 4, as we take a look on the Eau Claire Memorial side of the bracket, it is the number 2 seed, Neillsville Warriors. They will await Tuesday's winner, number 7 Cadott and number 10 Whitehall. Number 6 seed is Durand. They will host number 11 Spring Valley. They will go on to play the number 3 seed Osseo Fairchild. Interestingly enough there, the 3 seed Osseo Fairchild, the 2 seed Neillsville will play in a Cloverbelt crossover this coming Saturday. So we maybe get a regional final preview on Saturday. That game is live at ZaleskiSports.com. We'll go through our full live schedule coming up a little bit later during today's show. As we go now to coach interviews around the area, we will start with the number 2 seed Neillsville Warriors and their head coach, John Gaier. Coach, seed update. It's that time of year, basketball seeds. You just concluded your seed meeting. Tell us what you learned today.
Well, we learned pretty much what we expected, at least in the first spot, which is Melrose Mindoro is going to be the number 1 seed in our region. We did get the number 2 seed. Osseo Fairchild was the 3 seed. Stanley Boyd was the 4 seed. I was pleased with getting the 2 seed, and I talked to the coaches there, and this is so difficult in the splitting of hairs unless you have like opponents, and then when you play the like opponents, and it's awfully difficult to come up with seeding for 12 teams and trying to be as logical about it as you possibly can. But I really do appreciate the coaches and the effort that they put into it.
Coach, with the 2 seed, should you win those early games, you will have guaranteed yourself a regional final at home. How important is it for your team, and especially those seniors on your team, should you get to that point, to have that last trophy type game on your home court?
Well, playing at home is certainly a lot better than playing on the road. So I think anybody would want to be playing that game at home, and fortunately, if we get past that first one, that's where we will be. So we're pretty excited about having the opportunity to host.
All right, Coach. So you'll play the winner of an opening round game that will take place on Tuesday. You'll know your opponent on Tuesday night. What's your attitude about that? How do you take that information on an unknown opponent like that, and then a quick turnaround for that game on Thursday?
Well, we will, now that we know who they will be, we'll do everything we can to get as much information as we possibly can on their players and the style that they like to play. And then we'll get a look at them on Tuesday, which is an advantage for us. And that first game is really important. I can remember the first year that we went to state, we almost lost that first round game. The year that we won the state tournament, we almost lost a sectional game. So it takes talent and a little bit of luck to get through those, but you can't afford to look past anybody, because if some team gets hot and you're not, it can end your run pretty quickly.
Coach, you were conference champions in the Clover Belt East this year. How does that conversation? Did that conversation come up in your seed process, and was that something you used as an argument to get a 2 seed?
Well, we certainly bring it up that we were already had won the conference, and that we were 18-2, and that there's a lot of talk about who plays who or who has the tougher non-conference schedule. But the bottom line is, you play who you're scheduled to play, and you look at how you succeed in the games that you have, and sometimes there is some crossover between teams that played a like opponent. But the bottom line is, you got to take care of business of the schedule that you have, and that was a lot of the conversation. But again, it is a lot like splitting hairs, and when you have a team that's 18-2, and an Osseo team that had won 13 in a row, and you're trying to split hairs between those two, and then you're trying to split hairs between two teams that have 13 wins, but they didn't play each other. It is a difficult process.
That was Neillsville basketball Warrior girls head coach John Gaier. We'll go now to Division I, and Marshfield is the 6th seed, and we had a chance to catch up with Marshfield Tiger girls basketball coach Taylor Varsho. Talking to Marshfield Tigers girls basketball coach Taylor Varsho. Coach, you are the 6th seed out of today's seed meeting. You'll have a home game next week against Superior. So first, let's talk about that 6th seed, how that process went, and your reaction to getting the 6th seed.
Yeah, going into the seeding meetings, always, because you go against 17 other teams, it's always a little challenging, because we don't play every team in our sectional. We only have a couple non-conference games that we can choose from, and some of those non-conference games are Division II teams. So when you lose against them, it's not always the best. But I thought we do have some pretty big wins against our Wisconsin Valley teams, and Wisconsin Valley is a tough conference. And I was really happy we were going in for the 7th or 8th seed, but I was very happy with how teams ranked us in the process, and we ended up being the 6th seed, right below Spash.
Yeah, you are, and I thought coming into the seed meeting, it would be you and Spash next to each other in those seeds. I just didn't know exactly who would be ahead of who. Coming into the seed meeting today, you were conference champions, so you were at least able to make that argument, since technically Spash is not, at least until next week. How did that conversation go down?
Yeah, it's always, Wisconsin Valley is a great conference, and, we always pull for one another during these seeding meetings, because you never know how it's going to shake out. We go against FTA, we go against the Big Rivers, and you go against, teams like Superior, who aren't in any of those conferences as well. So, we pull for one another, and we want to see the WVC succeed, especially going into the tournament time.
As we said, visiting here with Marshfield Tiger girls basketball coach Taylor Varsho. The Tigers are the 6th seed in this 2020 girls basketball tournament. They'll play Superior on Friday, February 28th at the Bozen Fieldhouse at 7 p.m. Coach, game going on right above you in the bracket at that same time as Wisconsin Rapids Lincoln, who's the 14th seed, going against Green Bay Preble. You're probably a big Rapids fan that night as well. If they were to win, you get to host a regional final. Talk about how you look at the bracket overall.
Yeah, I think, it's always, Bayport got the 1, Kimberly got the 2, and Green Bay Preble the top 5, 6, 7 teams, those are the best teams intersectional. And, like I said before, any team can beat any team on any given night. Whether you're 0-20, whether you're 1-20, or 20-0, you got to go into every game and being ready to play. So, like I said before, any team can beat any team on any given night. We just got to worry about Marshfield and Marshall basketball and go in with the same mentality that we did against Waffle West last week.
You've got a week of non-conference basketball this week leading up to that game against Superior. What do you know about Superior today, and then when will you start learning more about your opponent in the playoffs? Yeah,
Superior is a really good team. They're athletic. I know when I played, they were always, one of the top dogs in the conference. So they'll have to travel here, which is a good thing on our part. So we get a home game, we get to play on our home floor, and we just got to keep everybody healthy this next week. And I know the sickness is going around, but we just want to keep everybody on a high note and keep playing with that same mentality and energy that we did last week.
All right, thanks to Marshfield Tiger girls basketball coach Taylor Varsho. Number 1 seed in Division 4, as I mentioned earlier, are the Auburndale Apaches. Here's Apache girls head coach Dale Owie. Coach, you got the number 1 seed in your section. Tell us about how that conversation went down at today's seed meeting.
No, I kept it short and sweet. I think for us, for somebody to make a case against us, it would have been pretty tough. But
and then you'll play your first game on Friday, or first playoff game Friday, February 28th. That's 7 p.m. That's a home game. You don't know your opponent yet. That's because Spencer and Stratford play on Tuesday, the 25th. You'll play the winner of Spencer-Stratford. What do you know about either the Rockets or the Tigers right now?
Well, we just played Stratford Tuesday night, so they're fresh on our minds yet. I don't know much about the Rockets.
Then as we take a look at top seeds in your bracket, of course, you're the number 1 seed. Marathon is the 2 seed, and Westfield is the 3. Colby's the 4. A lot of familiar opponents from girls basketball fans around the area. Marathon being the 2 on the other side of that bracket, and Colby the 4. What is that going to tell you, especially with a team like Colby that went to the state tournament last year? What does that tell you about the strength of your bracket as a whole?
Well, the top half, it's good as a whole. I think some of those teams from down south are going to surprise us too. I don't know. It was tough because there had to have been 6 or 7 of them with the same record, coming into the seeding meeting. So it's always makes it hard.
Thanks to Auburndale Apache head coach Dale Owie. We mentioned in Division 5, number 3 seed, the Loyal Greyhounds. Here's Hounds head coach Mike Rueth. We're visiting with Loyal Greyhound girls basketball coach Mike Rueth. Coach, you are the 3 seed in the 2020 girls basketball tournament. Give us your reaction to being named the 3 seed for the tournament coming up next week.
Well, I feel it's right. We had a slip up against Columbus the other night, which gave us our 4th loss of the season. Prairie Farm was the 2 seed. They won their last game on Friday. They won, so we ranked ahead of them. We're at 8 in the state. In Division 5, they were 9. When the polls come out next week, we won't be 8 anymore. So I had to appeal for the 2nd spot, and I just chose not to. I figured, it was something that we had a mess up on Friday, and we didn't take care of business. And I feel like if we can get to that game, which I hope we can, obviously. We start with New Auburn, and then if we can win that one, we'd have the winner of Lake Holcomb or Eau Claire Emmanuel Lutheran. And so if we can get past those 2 games and we have to travel for Prairie Farm, we would take our chances there, and I think we have our chances there pretty good.
Coach, you mentioned it, the 14 seed, your opponent coming up, and again, that game will be played at home Tuesday. February the 25th is New Auburn. What do you know about New Auburn as we sit here just a couple hours after the seed's been released?
Well, I don't know much about them at all, to be honest with you. It's something we have to look at this week. And, the way it sounds, their coach, they've had some up and downs this year with their team. I think they have 7 wins or 6 wins this year. We'll, take that opponent on just like any other opponent. Hopefully we'll be ready to play.
All right. And then you talked about it, the teams that are bracketed right underneath you, number 6 seed Eau Claire Emmanuel Lutheran. And the number 11 seed is Lake Holcomb. Should you be able to get past the 14 seed New Auburn, you'll give yourself yet another home game. How important is it, especially for you and the seniors, to be able to play at least those first 2 games at home?
Well, there's no doubt after Friday night's game, they were very disappointing. So I just basically told them I think our 2 seed is gone. We'll probably be a 3 seed. We hoped anyway. And but yeah, I agree. I mean, I think you want to play home games in the playoffs. That's why it's so important. Well, we understand we didn't get things done on Friday night. Again, it's credit to Columbus, but we didn't get things done, and we were, and the result of that is we're a 3 seed. So we do get 2 home games, and if we can get past those 2 home games, well, our 3rd game will be on the road at Prairie Farm, and I know they're a very young team. They start 3 freshmen and 2 juniors, and the coaches. I just talked to that coach tonight, and one of his daughter plays for him. So I mean, it's a special moment for them. But we will be playing a younger, inexperienced team, but they're good. And like I said, we're going to look at. Well, first of all, we're going to try to take care of Wilczek tomorrow night. Take care of business on Saturday before the playoffs. But yeah, we won't overlook New Auburn, and we're going to go from there.
In your end of the section, Clear Lake is the 1 seed. You mentioned Prairie Farm is the 2 seed, and then you are the 3 seed. How would you rate the overall strength of your part of that section?
Well, I don't know. The years that I've coached, we're ranked 8th in the state, and we're a 3rd seed in our sectional. So it says a lot about the sectional. It's kind of weird how that works. We were in the Assumption sectional. We had to play them all those years. They were an outstanding basketball team. And we got moved to this sectional. We're like, hey, this is probably a good spot for us. And then here comes Clear Lake. There's a Prairie Farm team. There's, so it's a tough sectional. I mean, the North sectional in the past has been good, and it's good again this year. So, we're looking forward to it. It's new to us. What's kind of nice about this is, I think the kids would agree, and we get to play some teams we don't know, and we're so happy that we don't get to play Greenwood or Owen right now and play those types of teams in the playoffs. We get to play some teams that we know a little about, and sometimes I think that's okay.
Thanks to Loyal's Mike Rueth for stopping in on today's Zaleski Sports Show. Also in Division 5, it's a 7 seed. They will host at home on Tuesday, February 25th. Here's Columbus Catholic Don's head coach, Ron Wilczek. All right, talking to Columbus Catholic Don girls basketball coach Ron Wilczek. Coach, you are the 7 seed in the independent section. Give us your first reaction on being the 7 seed taking on number 10 Gilmanton.
Yeah, first reaction, I'm pleased you kind of are who you are in terms of record. You kind of earned it. I thought going into the seeding meeting that, best case, there might have been a 5 seed. I thought 6 was certainly realistic and feasible, and kind of from my perspective, 7 was what I thought would be the worst case scenario. Even with a quality win on a Friday night against a ranked opponent in Loyal.
All right, and then like I said, you play number 10 Gilmanton. At this point, I know it can be tough to give a reaction right away, just a couple hours after the seed meeting. But what do you know, if anything, about the girls from Gilmanton?
I know they're playing the Dairyland Conference, and that's about it right now. And honestly, I'm more focused on Neillsville tomorrow night than the playoffs right now. So, once we wrap up our regular season, we'll start doing some homework and try to learn a lot more about Gilmanton and other teams, in our regional. But first things first.
Coach, it is a tough regional, tough sectional. Number 1 is Bangor. Number 2, Oliva Strum, who you would have to face should you be able to get past Gilmanton. You've got number 3, Cashton. A really tough section. How do you grade the strength of those other teams that join you in that section?
Yeah, I agree. It's a high quality regional, high quality sectional. In the seeding meeting going in, I think Bangor was the clear number 1. However, in terms of like Blair Taylor, Reva Strum, and Cashton, there was a lot of debate and discussion about who was 2, 3, and 4. I think several of those teams beat each other. So that's kind of where it landed, and it's kind of pick your poison with any of those teams. But that being said, we played a ranked opponent on Friday night and did really well. So that gives us confidence going in. Seeing Oliva Strum if we happen to beat Gilmanton, week from Tuesday.
Coach, you mentioned Neillsville on Monday night. You get them at home. It is another ranked opponent. They are the 2 seed in their Division 4 sectional. What do you hope to learn on Monday night, and then how will you apply that when the playoffs start the week after?
Yeah, well, I'm hoping to, kind of duplicate our defensive performance, versus Neillsville like we had on Friday night against Loyal. It's all task. They're exceptional. They've got a lot of offensive weapons. They're well coached, and they play the game a lot differently than Loyal. Loyal is exclusively, full court man, half court man. Well, Neillsville's primarily full court zone, half court zone. So two quality opponents that go about their business in a much different manner. I just want to, see the girls compete and do some of the same things we saw on Friday. And we're still learning and adjusting to life without Hudson Raiders. When you lose, 19-point score, that certainly is a huge adjustment. One we talked about offensively, there's not one girl that needs to pick up the scoring slack. We just need to have, a handful of girls score 2, 3, 4 more points a game, and we're there.
All right, before we do get started with girls basketball playoffs that start Tuesday, February 25th, we have a full week of girls non-conference basketball, boys basketball yet this week before their playoff seeds come out this next Sunday. And our live schedule is found at ZaleskiSports.com. Here are the games you can watch live this week. It all starts tonight, Monday, as Neillsville hosts Columbus Catholic girls basketball. Also listen live on 92.3 WOSQ. It's a trio of games on Tuesday. In boys basketball, Greenwood visits Columbus Catholic. You can also listen live at 92.3 WOSQ. Neillsville at Spencer, and that is the Clover Belt East championship game, the regular season finale. The winner of that game will claim a Clover Belt Conference East title. And it's Rib Lake at Colby in boys basketball. On Thursday, we take a look at girls basketball. Auburndale at Newman Catholic. Again, Auburndale, the 1 seed in Division 4. Newman Catholic, 1 seed in Division 5. Those two played a nail-biter at Auburndale last month. They will now finish their regular season up in Wausau. It is Assumption at Stratford girls basketball. You can also listen to that one live at 13:20 a.m. WFHR. On Friday, it's a big boys basketball game, and it is Stratford at Auburndale. And you can also listen to that one live on 14:50 a.m. WDLB. And then on Saturday, it is Clover Belt crossover girls basketball. Zaleski Sports is the exclusive live video broadcast partner of the Clover Belt Conference. And you can watch Loyal in the second place Clover Belt crossover game. And then, as I mentioned earlier in today's show, it's Neillsville and Osseo Fairchild in the first place girls Clover Belt crossover game. Big week of sports this week. Girls basketball starts next week. We've also got playoff wrestling, swimming, gymnastics. It's all coming. And you can keep up to date at ZaleskiSports.com. Thanks for listening, everybody, and have a great week. Go Sports.
That one's going to get thrown away. Clary, coast to coast. Left hand, up, and foul in the basket! Megan Clary for 2. And the Red Raiders have the lead. For the Apaches. Swings around to Hartley. 3-pointer left side. Book it. Maria Hartley for 3. Her first bucket of the night. Grundhofer running the floor. She's going to take it. Now finds Sammy Nelson on the left side and in.